Hello, you're watching AnewZ Morning from Baku. I'm Bakhtiar Sanova, and here are the top stories. Mike Johnson has been re-elected as Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives after a tense vote. Turkey aims to bolster European energy security, Turkish energy minister says. Chinese automaker BYD surpassed U.S. rival Tesla in sales, solidifying its position in the electric vehicle market. After a tense vote, Mike Johnson has been re-elected as Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, a key position in American politics. Johnson, who took office amid Republican turmoil in 2023, now faces significant challenges, including managing the United States' $36 trillion tax debt, tax cuts, and immigration reform.
Mike Johnson, a Louisiana lawmaker, was re-elected Speaker of the U.S. House after a closely contested vote. He secured 218 votes, the bare minimum needed, following last-minute negotiations and a call for support from President-elect Donald Trump.
We have a mandate, and that was shown in the election cycle. The people want an America First agenda. They do. Sadly, for the past 4 years of divided government, too many politicians in Washington have done the opposite. Open borders and overregulation have destroyed our cities and stifled innovation. Inflation and weak leadership have left Americans poorer, and they have placed our country in a perilous position. That's right.
Johnson's leadership has been challenged by conservatives within his party, particularly over his reliance on Democrats to pass essential legislation. Last year, Trump pushed House Republicans to scrap a government funding deal unless it also included a debt ceiling increase. A revised bill, which excluded Trump's demand, passed just hours before a shutdown deadline. However, it received more backing from Democrats than Republicans, further highlighting Johnson's struggle to maintain party unity.
In coordination with President Trump, this Congress will give our border and immigration enforcement agents the resources that they need to do their job. We will secure the border, we will deport dangerous, criminal, illegal aliens, and finally finish building the border wall.
This re-election highlighted deep divisions within the Republican Party, which holds a slim 219 to 215 majority in the House. Johnson, who was unexpectedly thrust into the role in 2023, now faces significant challenges, extending Trump's 2017 tax cuts, addressing the U.S.'s growing $36 trillion debt, and rolling back regulations.
Citizens across the United States are concerned about the possibility of further attacks as they implement measures to enhance national security. With recent incidents raising alarm, officials focus on strengthening strategies to protect citizens and prevent future threats.
Cities across the U.S. are starting this year with high alert security, following the Bourbon Street attack in New Orleans and the vehicle explosion outside a Trump hotel in Las Vegas. Such incidents have caused more fear of threats in a month packed with large-scale public events, including former President Jimmy Carter's state funeral on January 9th and President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration on January 20th. The Sugar Bowl in New Orleans was postponed by 1 day due to the attack, resulting in enhanced security measures with detection dogs utilized at the event. In New York, there was enhanced security outside of Trump Tower, key train stations like Penn Station, and several other venues across the city. Meanwhile, before the anniversary of the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, the FBI released new footage of the unsolved pipe bomb case. The suspect placed 2 pipe bombs near the Capitol before the attack, but police deactivated them. The FBI has received over 600 tips and offered a $500,000 reward, but after 4 years, they still have not identified the suspect.
France's military presence in Africa is coming to an end as many nations on the continent strive to consolidate their independence. Countries such as Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Chad have openly called on the French government to withdraw its troops. These developments have compelled France to reassess its influence in the region.
Since 2022, there has been a marked reduction in France's military presence in Africa. This process began with the termination of military cooperation in Mali, followed by the closure of French bases in Burkina Faso and Niger. More recently, Chad and Ivory Coast have taken steps to ensure the full withdrawal of French troops. Chad's president, Mahamat Idriss Déby Itno, announced that French forces would leave the country by 31st January 2025. Similarly, the leaders of Senegal and Ivory Coast have expressed their determination to end the presence of foreign troops within their borders. Paris-based journalist and strategy expert Leslie Varenne has described France's withdrawal from Africa as a defeat. She argues that the Barkhane operation in the Sahel region failed to meet its objectives and that France was unable to ensure security in the area. Varenne also highlights that political coups in several African countries have hastened this process.
Oui, parce que je crois que Emmanuel Macron est un président.
I believe Emmanuel Macron is a president who manages international relations in much the same way as he governs the country, that is, in a rather authoritarian manner. He makes decisions on his own, does not measure the difficulty of complex situations, does not consult those who understand the issues well, and take authoritarian steps, even with his African counterparts. This approach has had significant consequences. We saw it again with Chad's unexpected decision to cancel its cooperation agreement with France. Authoritarianism no longer works anywhere in the world, particularly in Africa and the Middle East. French diplomacy has always regarded itself as representing an indispensable country, but this perspective has shifted in recent years.
France now plans to maintain its military presence exclusively in Djibouti, where 1,500 troops are stationed. This base holds strategic importance in East Africa. President Emmanuel Macron has announced that the Djibouti base will serve as a projection point for France's overseas operations. Across Africa, leaders are making increasingly autonomous decisions, reshaping their priorities for regional security and development. The withdrawal of French forces has enabled many nations to craft their own national strategies. As African nations strengthen partnerships with new allies, French influence in the region continues to decline. A prominent opposition figure in France, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, has urged the government to move beyond its colonial past and establish a new model for relations with Africa. This approach seeks to build partnerships based on mutual respect, embodying a forward-looking vision for France's engagement with the continent.
Turkey is preparing to make a major shift in its trade and investment relations with Syria. That's according to Turkish Trade Minister Ömer Bolat. Speaking at the Turkey Exporters Assembly meeting on Friday, Bolat emphasized that this new phase would focus on trade, investments, and the reconstruction of Syria. Trade Minister Ömer Bolat reminded that Turkey's trade with Syria was $1.8 billion in exports and $660 million in imports in 2011. By 2024, exports from Turkey to Syria reached $2.2 billion, while imports from Syria dropped to $438 million. He added that Turkey's free trade agreement with Syria was signed and approved in 2007, but it was suspended after civil war had begun in Syria in 2011. The minister revealed that now, in the new period, Turkey is completing preparations for both the free trade agreement and customs regimes in collaboration with Syrian authorities. Turkey aims to become a major player in the European energy security. That's according to Energy Minister Alparslan Bayraktar. His statement comes after Russia's Gazprom halted gas transit through Ukraine.
Turkey is ready to play a larger role in securing Europe's energy future, especially after Russia's Gazprom seized natural gas transits through Ukraine. That is according to Energy and Natural Resources Minister Alparslan Bayraktar. In an interview with Japan-based media outlet Nikkei Asia, Turkish Energy Minister Alparslan Bayraktar emphasized Turkey's potential to become a crucial energy hub for Europe, particularly for natural gas supplies. He suggested that with the political willingness and commitment from European nations and additional investment in interconnections, Turkey could increase its gas exports to Central and Eastern Europe by up to 10 billion cubic meters annually, leveraging the Balkan pipeline route. Bayraktar's remarks come after the expiration of a 5-year natural gas transit agreement between Gazprom and Ukraine's Naftogaz on January the 1st. The agreement's end has shifted regional energy dynamics as Gazprom halted gas flows through Ukraine, leaving Turkey as a key player in energy supply. Additionally, Bayraktar pointed out that the Turk Stream pipeline, which opened in 2020, is now operating at full capacity, while Turkey also exports Azerbaijani gas to Europe through another pipeline.
In business and economic news, Chinese automaker BYD surpassed the U.S. rival Tesla by delivering approximately 600,000 battery-powered vehicles between October and December. According to both companies' production and sales results for the year 2024, Tesla delivered 496,000 electric vehicles during the fourth quarter, while BYD delivered 595,000 units. However, for the whole year, BYD delivered 1.76 million EVs, slightly behind Tesla, which delivered 1.79 million. While Tesla increased its EV sales by 5% in the fourth quarter, BYD's EV sales increased by 13%. Meanwhile, with other types of sales, such as plug-in hybrid cars and buses, BYD delivered 4.3 million units of vehicles in 2024. China plans to strengthen its economy in 2025. The country will focus on providing durable goods for consumers and equipment for businesses.
China is implementing measures to boost its economy in 2025, including increased ultra-long treasury bond funding, interest rate cuts, and financial aid programs for durable goods and business equipment upgrades. The government aims for 5% growth for 2025, while accepting a budget deficit of 4% of GDP, despite challenges such as the property crisis and potential U.S. tariffs. China's Vice Secretary of the National Development and Reform Commission, Yuan Da, expressed optimism about the country's economic recovery for this year.
There is ample room for macro policies in this year, adding that we have more experience in macro policies. Overall, we are confident that the economy will continue to rebound and improve this year.
Millions of government workers received wage increases averaging 500 won, approximately $70 per month from July 2024, injecting an estimated $12 to $20 billion into the economy. These pay raises aim to stimulate spending, though some critics question their focus on civil servants, arguing that the move may damage private sector.
Hanoi is currently facing severe air pollution, which poses significant health risks to residents, particularly vulnerable groups such as the elderly and those with pre-existing respiratory conditions. The hazardous AQI rating of 305 underscores the urgency of addressing the sources of pollution, such as heavy traffic, trash burning, and industrial activities.
Vietnam's bustling capital city of Hanoi woke up shrouded in a dense layer of smog as air pollution reached hazardous levels. A panoramic view of the city reveals its iconic skyline barely visible through the heavy haze, as the government said it would push for more electric vehicles to alleviate the problem. Streets that are typically vibrant and bustling were veiled in gray, as motorcycles and cars navigated through the murky air. Cyclists, braving the pollution, moved alongside congested traffic, their faces partially covered with masks in an attempt to filter the noxious air. This persistent smog has disrupted daily life in Hanoi, reducing visibility and leaving residents, especially the elderly and those with respiratory conditions, struggling with health issues.
There is serious air pollution in Hanoi at the moment. We, the elderly, can feel it very significantly, especially those of us who suffer from respiratory problems that lead to troubled breathing. This is a situation that seems to be getting more and more serious in recent times.
In the early morning, I thought it was fog on the way to take my exam, but I later found out that it was actually fine dust that reduces my vision and makes me feel like it's not healthy to breathe.
With the seriousness of this air pollution, the only way for me to protect myself is to wear layers and layers of clothing.
Deputy Prime Minister Tran Hong Ha called for an accelerated transition to electric vehicles as part of the efforts to reduce pollution, state media reported. So far, Hanoi has a target for at least 50% of buses and 100% of taxis to be electric vehicles by 2030.
That's all we have for this hour. You can also get the latest news and headlines around the clock on our website, that is AnewZ.tv. Thank you for joining us.